Good evening, everybody, or good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are on this great planet. Little tribute to Art Bell there. It's the end, Pete. It's here. I mean,
Yep.
at least for the regular run of the show, the original run. We have made it to the final batch of episodes for the X Files, guys, and it's been a long ride. Thank you, everybody that has followed us. It's not over though. We still got a movie to review and two seasons of the revival season. So stick with us. But this is the original end, and I guess if you were around in was it 2002, you figured you would never hear of the X Files again. That was it. This was the end for real. And so we will obviously be reviewing the following episodes, which is William and Release and Sunshine Days, which kind of comes out of nowhere, and The Truth. And then after that, we will do a season wrap up, give our general feelings on season 9, get our top 8 out of the way, and then go to bed because it's late here in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and it's hot as all get out. We'll
I
try to get.
know my bathroom is being redone at the moment now, so my shower hasn't worked for like 3 days, man. Taking like
Oh,
bucket showers, pouring like cups of water on myself, and I feel icky.
oh yes, oh yes. It is very icky. So let's get to it, folks. We will start with the episode called William, and it's very William centric, of course. Let me just check this out here. It was released on April 28th, 2002, to 9.3 million viewers. Written by David Duchovny, by the way. And Frank Sputnitz and Chris Carter. So and David Duchovny directed it too. It has an 8 rating on IMDb, and Scully, Doggett, and Reyes encounter a mysterious, disfigured man. Who could that be? Who claims to have contact with Mulder and shares very similar DNA. So is it Mulder? And Scully gives her baby up for adoption. So this is a big, important episode. What do you think of it, Peter?
Wasn't crazy about it actually. The whole red herring thing was a bit much, but it's an important episode because you can tell now that they're rapid. Like everything that happens in these episodes that we're about to review, except for the second last episode, which is give them one more monster of the week. Um, Everything is like bringing things to a close. So this is basically the end of the William arc. At the start of the episode, we actually see him being adopted, and then we go back to the circumstances that led to this happening, and it basically results in the result is basically Doggett catching someone burglarizing the X Files office like Watergate style and getting jumped. And it's this like, uh, I would say they did a bad job of making him look disfigured. Actually, it's terrible makeup. He doesn't look disfigured. He just looks like he's past the point of aging where any normal person should have died and just kept aging. He looks like he's a mummy basically. So yeah, the
Yeah,
burglar turns out to be a mummy, and he says that he knows Mulder, and he fills them in on a lot of things that most of them really know already. That the old conspiracy's over, and that the super soldier program, and the baby's part alien, and all of this stuff. I mean, they should know this at the very least. But they begin to suspect that he may be Mulder, because just like the things that he's saying, the things that he knows, it's kind of like Mulder type shit. So they get some DNA from him, and this like totally tips you off, and it's a match for Mulder's DNA. They at some point they catch him trying to shoot little baby William up with a syringe, and he actually gets it off.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy reveals that the shot was actually to make him normal because he was the aliens are going to want this kid, but if it's normal, then the aliens be like, well, don't need that anymore.
Who
The
likes
DNA connection is found. Yeah, the DNA connection is turns out to be that it's actually Jeffrey Spender, and this I think is the first time they actually full on just like say it. Yes, CG Spender was Mulder's father, therefore Jeffrey is his half brother. They just get that all out there, wrap it up, no more mystery, which is good because it's the ending. You got to wrap this shit up. But that his intentions were basically what he said they were. His motives were different. He doesn't really give a fuck about Scully or William. It's just that the whole thing was set into motion by his father, whom he hates, so he wants to fuck with his work. And yeah, then Scully, I guess, realizes that the baby's always going to be in danger, regardless of whether he's normal or not. So she gives him up for adoption. And that's pretty much it. William's story's over. What happened to Spender is over. Who's daddy, who's brother, that's all resolved. Uh, but yeah, I wasn't crazy. I think largely what I didn't like about it is just that terrible makeup job, man. It was awful. It's like you knew it wasn't Mulder. Um, Not that big of a surprise that it turned out to be Spender. Um, I guess you could say for the end of the series, the end of the season, good closure episode, especially dealing with the whole parentage issue. But in terms of actually being an enjoyable or entertaining episode, not really. There's just like no real need to give the baby away either.
And I don't get the like. Okay, give the baby away. Yeah, because he put something in the baby to make the baby normal, supposedly, because he's not very normal in the reboot season. Um,
Right.
so if he's normal, yeah, then why give him away? Like you don't need to. Like Spender just fixed your problem, and we've already uh, uh, concluded that this baby doesn't really need protection because he can just
Yeah,
keep.
exactly. Yeah, it's either
He's
normal or it can make people explode at will. So
yeah,
either
yeah.
way,
He's
you're pretty good.
impervious to fire, like impervious to
Yeah,
bombs, impervious to everything. So I would be keeping a baby like that. you
yeah,
know, that's a kid I need around, especially in Sao Paulo. I'd be carrying that baby everywhere with me. Um, so yeah, I'm with you. Kind of needless episode. It's what I actually remember from first run because I guess I must have started watching X Files again on first run when I knew it was near the end. I do remember this episode. I mean, I remember, like you, not being crazy about it, but it's like not the worst episode. I gave it 3 stars. I said it does what it has to do, and just kind of neat how they brought Spender back. It was kind of nice to see them do the callbacks because again, that's another thing when we're finishing the series, you always gotta have your callbacks. So I thought it was nice how they were able to tie him
yeah,
in even if it wasn't uh, the best makeup job or whatever, like Pete was saying. But there are worse ways to bring characters back. Um, and this one kind of worked for what this episode needed, but nothing important happened here as season 9. I think that was the death knell when they made the first episode that title because there's a whole lot of nothing important happening in a lot of these episodes. And on the bandwagon that we're on here of getting things, closing out things, we got another episode that closes out a storyline, which I actually liked a
hmm,
little bit better. And it is called, it's right on the screen, folks. It's called Release, Release. And you see Big Old Doggett's face there because he is the center of this episode that premiered on May 5th, 2002 to 7.8 million viewers. Written by John Chabon and David Ammon, and it's directed by Kim Manners, has an 8.3 rating, and a particularly adept student from Scully's class at the FBI Academy helps to finally solve the murder of Agent Doggett's son. And yeah, guys, I'm not going to go into the whole plot details in detail here, but basically, there's a something that Doggett's investigating. A killer runs by him. You know, he instead of running to catch the guy, he goes back in the room because he hears this noise, and he finds this girl plastered into the wall, and that leads to them bringing the body to Scully, and she's got this really bright student named Rudolph Hayes, and he decides to explain what happened to this girl, and he gives this really, really detailed profile of what happened to the girl and who possibly was her killer, which freaks everybody out, but does kind of lead to the confirmation that there's it's a serial killer. There's going to be somebody else killed, and it's not an X file, but Reyes and Doggett are on the case, and they say, "Hey, let's keep following the leads." And this boy Hayes here keeps giving them these very, very, very good tips on who the killer possibly is. And the big info here is that the killer could have possibly been involved with Doggett's son's murder. And it goes,
Hmm.
from there, it winds here, it winds there. We find out this guy Hayes is really freaky. In his room, he's got like pictures of all these murder victims, and he says if he's staring at them long enough, or sits with them long enough, I should say, they talk to him, and that's how he's getting his information. But the information is turning out to be right to the point where Doggett even suspects him of being the killer. Um, and long story short, some we find out that this guy that's out of jail, his name is what is his name? Pete. He's the gangster crime boss here. Uh,
Regali. Regali.
Regali. Yes. So this guy
Yeah.
Regali, he's the linchpin here. Everything hangs on him, and it ends up that he dealt with a lot of seedy folks. And one of these folks happened to be a pedophile who had kidnapped Doggett's son. And he walks in on him, and when he sees him, well, that part was kind of fucked up because he didn't kill the dude because he was a pedophile. He killed the kid because he saw his face. But okay, I guess
Yeah.
they're all seedy folks. Um, and he tells Doggett this in a hypothetical sense because he doesn't want to incriminate himself. Say hypothetically, this businessman saw this, and he had to kill the kid. But did he end up killing the dude too? I forgot. Um, but in any case,
No, no, they missed like this whole subplot. It
well, the
turns out
subplot is
no,
with
no, this is
with
important. There's
Brad
this.
Fomer.
Okay, go on. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just getting the main
Yes,
thing.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, because the main thing is this: is
Okay.
that Regali is the was involved with, well, not involved. He killed Doggett's son, but then see, I was leaving this part for last because I thought this part didn't work for me because all of a sudden we get Fulmer ending up being a dirty cop because he was having dealings with this guy way back when, like 3 years ago, when he was still in New York and Reyes was dating him, and this Regali character has videotape of Fulmer bribing, taking bribes to get information, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't like that part. I didn't think that really did anything other than uh, be the catalyst for why, after Regali's confession, quote unquote confession to Doggett's ready to shoot his ass. And when the guy walks outside, he gets shot by Fomer, who's like, you know what? It ends up this guy really did do this, and I'd rather kill him. One, to save Doggett from having killed him, because then Doggett would be fucked. And two, because I did some dirty shit in the back way back when. And three, because also I don't want to be beholden to this guy for the rest of my life. So Fulmer fucks himself, takes one for the team, but it just came out of nowhere. So I wasn't really a fan of that. But that's basically it, folks. I mean, I liked it though. I thought it was a pretty interesting episode. Um, it's a tight story. It is kind of windy, but it gets to the resolution in a much better way than Williams' storyline got to a resolution. Um, one other part that I thought was kind of stretching believability was just this kid, the super sleuth. It ends up that he's like the guy. He's posing as an FBI agent who had died sometime like the year before or something. But he's from a mental institution.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, how the fuck did he get into the FBI? Like, well, we've already established that the FBI building is like the least guarded building in uh, in history. In the X Files universe, and there's murders in the car park, and nobody seems to really care or investigate. So I guess it's believable within the X Files universe that a mental patient can just waltz into the FBI and be one of Scully's top students, but whatever. Okay, it is what it is. For me, the part that mattered the most with this episode, and it's going to kind of be on the same level as that one from a few weeks back, that the story wasn't great, but the Doggett arc was great. I loved just him finally getting resolution for his son. We get to see his wife again, and she even hints at, look, he's so obsessed with this, he really needs to move on. He could even have something cool with Reyes if he just lets her in. So the little character beats are what I liked about this episode. Some of the stuff in the episode was just kind of ridiculous. Mainly the Fulmer little surprise. And how the hell did this kid get into the FBI? This mental patient, but
Right.
Other than that, though, it was a decent episode. Solid, solid.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about it. I thought the best. It reminded me of the Samantha Angels episode. Actually, like it wasn't on that level. At least they tried to
Hmm.
get a plausible explanation for it. But I don't know. To me, like it didn't work. The idea that like he was killed by some mobster because he hung out with pedophiles and the kid saw his face. Like I don't know, man. Like even mobsters aren't like that, you know. Like most mobsters, they got a code, you know. They're not like this guy, you know. At least the ones I've
Yeah,
seen in movies, but the ones I've read about in books too. Like, man, they take out the fucking pedophile, you know. This
exactly.
is
That's
this
why I
is
mentioned that. That was weird that he wouldn't have killed the pedophile. That's why I asked, did he even kill him at some point? What was the
yeah. I
pedophile's
don't
name?
remember him saying it because he didn't actually tell this. He didn't really tell the story. He just said hypothetically, this might be what happened.
Yeah, that was kind of
But
weird. And Pete and I are experts on this, guys, because last Sunday we actually went to see The Godfather on the big
that's
screen.
true.
And there's code. There's code. They know he's a civilian, right?
Yeah,
Before Michael got involved. They're
yeah.
not gonna. So um, yeah, I wouldn't kill the kid, man. Like, why? It's a little kid. What are the chances of him remembering your face? First off, and
Yeah, and it's just such a weird situation to be in that it turned out to not only be like a mob guy, but a mob guy that Fulmer was tied up with. I don't know. It all seemed like okay, we got to wrap everything up. Let's right because they did that nice and conveniently too. They solved the murder of Doggett's son, brought his killer to justice, and they wrapped up Brad's little story arc, whatever that was. So Bada bing, bada boom. We're closing the books on everything here.
Yeah, the Fomer thing just came out of nowhere because he hadn't been around for a couple of episodes. So in one, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, he could have never actually appeared again, and there probably wouldn't have been a lot of questions asked.
yes, exactly. What do you call it? The stuff like that. I guess you got to set it up a little bit better. You got to set it up. So I thought that wasn't set up very well of him just out of nowhere having these dealings with this dude. Oh, it was Bob Harvey. That's what it was. I was looking for this guy's name. So Regali decides to tell Doggett the story of what happened as a hypothetical situation. So basically, there's a businessman
Yeah,
who has to
and
associate
and
with
if
various of scum like pedophile Bob Harvey. Harvey took a little boy, and when the businessman walked in on Harvey with the boy saw the businessman's face. That was a problem, and there was a solution. Solution is cute. Well, anyway, but I still liked it. But it's not in my top eight. It's but it was better than a lot of the episodes we've been getting.
no, yeah, and I mean the thing is, like, something to flesh out his character more than anything. I think they tried to elaborate on it, but they never really went full on. So if like that little mystery didn't get solved, it would have been yeah. We never really expected it to anyway. It was just character development really.
Yeah, little character development story at the end, almost at the end of the season. But I will say this: I liked the conclusion of this a little bit more than the Samantha conclusion with the fucking
Yeah,
light, whatever the hell that was. That came out of left field
yeah.
too. Uh, I'd much
Hmm.
rather it fits Robert Patrick's Doggett's character. By the way, his wife on the show is his real wife in real
Oh,
life.
okay.
Barbara Patrick, I think her name is. Um, but the if it's his character, yeah, Barbara Patrick as Barbara Doggett, so they didn't even change her name. Um, so it fits Doggett's character. I mean, I would have been screaming at the screen and fucking starlight came down and like little ghost of Doggett's son came running to him in the forest. Which, by the way, why didn't the starlight creature save Doggett's son? That's what stuff like that is so stupid when they do that because there's always people that
Yeah.
don't get saved by the magical thing that saves people. So fuck it. But anyway, and by the way, guys, this is me saying that I like an episode. That's how tough season 9 is for me, at least. Um, let's move ahead because there's very few episodes today.
Hmm.
Got one more little monster of the week and then a two-parter for the end. The truth, right, is the final episode. But we got one little monster of the week left called Sunshine Days, and it premiered, guys. Let me check here on. Oh wow, got a lot of views. 10.4 million viewers to watch the last Monster of the Week episode on May 12th, 2002. Written by Vince Gilligan, directed by Vince Gilligan, and Scully, Duggan, and Reyes find a man who seems obsessed with the Brady Bunch and has extraordinary mental powers. So, what do you think about this wacky little episode? You there, Peter? Oh, I might have lost Pete. Oh, he's there. Hello, hello. I lost audio with Pete for some reason. I will say this, guys. The X
I thought
Files.
this was a great way to do the last Monster of the Week episode. It feels kind of uneven having having this series finale come directly after this. Hello. Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here.
No, go ahead, keep going. It's your
Yeah,
sound was for a second.
sorry, I
Now
could hear
you're
you
back.
just fine. Now I can. Okay. So yeah, all right. Okay. Yeah, no, I love this episode. I just thought it was a bit uneven to have the series finale come directly off such a light, wacky episode, but it's a good final Monster of the Week episode because it deals like with two good themes to conclude with. Number one is Doggett fully coming around to being an X Files detective. And number two is Scully and Skinner kind of coming to terms with the fact that this is as close as it's
You,
not going to
you,
happen.
you're cutting. Go ahead.
But yeah, the plot basically involves it starts with these two kids, David and Faustino, from Married with Children. They're going to visit this house that apparently on the inside looks exactly like the Brady Bunch, and one of them like sneaks in or something, and at any rate he goes like flying through the air and like dies like a blob. So yeah, Doggett and Reyes and Scully go to investigate. They take testimony. They look inside the house. Looks nothing like the Brady Bunch, but the kid's buddy breaks in the next night, and it's totally the Brady Bunch house. And he sees the guy who lives there hanging out with the Brady Bunch and everything. And he gets caught, and boom, through the roof he goes too. So now they know there's something up here. So they start investigating this guy because they don't have anything on him. And they find that in his background, he was diagnosed with psychokinetic abilities, like just wild telekinesis, can create illusions, all kinds of crazy that, yeah, they didn't follow up on him, figured he's just living a normal life. But Reyes turns out to be a big fucking nerd. She finds the missing link. She realizes that he's changed his name to Oliver, which is an obscure cousin character on the Brady Bunch who was considered a jinx, and that he's basically just lonely. And he's created this fantasy world with his powers where he's part of the Brady Bunch. So they go to confront him with the doctor because the doctor knows him, and they're going to try and like bring this guy in, and like, you know, he's proof of real psychokinetic ability. And he raises hell, but eventually the doctor wins him over. They finally have proof. He levitates Skinner in his office, does all kinds of amazing shit. Then they find out that him using his powers is going to kill him. So he can't use his powers anymore. And Scully has to kind of accept that, well, you know, this is it. This is as close as we're ever going to come. And it's not going to happen. But Oliver has a nice little ending. Basically, it turns out he was lonely and he was sad because his doctor stopped working with him. So his doctor says, I'm going to stay with you, buddy. I won't abandon you again. Nice little ending there. But one thing I really liked about it was Doggett coming to paranormal conclusions. When he sees the crime scene, he's like, I think our victim went through the roof and landed on his buddy's car. And Monica just looks at him like, so you're saying kind of like Daffy Duck or Wile E. Coyote? And Doggett's like, I think I'm getting the hang of this job. A to B to C equals C. Like, Doggett has finally arrived as a full fledged X Files detective. So, great final Monster of the Week episode. It was cute, it was funny, it had some good themes, and it did contribute somewhat towards the conclusion of the show.
I'm with you. Another one that I remember way back when from first run, and season 9 does have two good parts about it. One is our buddy who played the super soldier from the episode Trust No One, whose name I always forget.
Yeah,
He was
Terry
in a
O'Quinn.
Terry O'Quinn, and he was pretty much the best part about the TV show Lost until Michael Emerson shows up. And he's one of the people on the island in the Dharma experiment, and he carried that show on the other side. So we got two future stars of Lost on this episode. So it was cool to see him, and he's such a cool actor. He's got those buggy eyes, man, that just kind of put you in a trance whenever he's acting. Um, but I'm with Pete. You know, everything Pete said, I dig, especially because I was a real fan of the Brady Bunch. I used to watch it all the time when I was a kid, reruns. Um, and the title is a reference to one of the songs that they used to sing, "The Sunshiny Day." Da, 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 it's a sunshiny day. So, and I knew who Oliver was too. So, if I were in Ray's position, I would know exactly who he was. Little blonde headed, annoying kid. But cool episode, and it does come out of left field. Speaking of things that come out of left field, as you know, this episode does that because he's got two very serious episodes. You know, one giving a child away, two figuring out how a child gets murdered, and then let's do the Brady Bunch. So that's the X Files for you. And now, folks, it's the end. It's I keep calling this the end, but we had the episode the end at the end of season 5, but this is actually the truth. Okay. Um, and we get David Duchovny back. And from what I hear, it was a little bit of negotiation to get him back, but you know, he had written the episode a few episodes uh, back. He had written that one, so he's a fan of the X Files. Even when he was not on the show, I think he seriously just wanted to do other stuff and was a little bit upset with money issues and blah blah blah. So he came back, you know, because Chris Carter just told him, "Man, I think it's the best thing you could do is just close out the series with you." And Chris Carter did write this episode. Kim Manners did direct this episode, and it has an 8.5 rating on IMDb, and it's got 13.25 million viewers, which is kind of a low number for a big finale for a show like The X Files. You'd expect more people to tune in, but that's just the state of what the show was at this point. And after spending 12 months in hiding, Mulder is placed under trial at a military tribunal for allegedly killing Knowles Rohr, a super soldier. Meanwhile, close allies prepare to testify for Mulder, finally willing to expose the government conspiracy. Now, guys, I'm not going to go into this whole thing because, one, it's boring as hell. Except for the beginning. I did kind of dig the setup for what ends up just being a trial episode. It's like the end of Seinfeld, but as a drama, you know, and you get all your greatest hits, you know, all the characters come back and um, either testify for or against Mulder, who finally will be able to expose the truth of what is going on. And it's stuff that we've seen before. We've seen uh, scenes where Mulder's pontificating about, and you guys did this and this and this, and where's the evidence? Where's the hard evidence? You know, and then it's just Mulder pontificating about what the truth is, and we never really get it. But the beginning was cool because he does. There's a cool chase scene with Mulder, and he does kill the super soldier, and he finally gets to see Scully again, and he's got a great line about, I think I smelled a little Clarice when he sees her, and he gives her a big old kiss. Um, and Skinner ends up being the defense lawyer for Mulder in the death of the super soldier. And then while Mulder's waiting, you know, that's the other part of this episode is while Mulder's waiting for trial, he's locked in his cell and he gets visits from all, you know, the greatest hits again. Krychek's ghost makes an appearance. And that's when I say, here comes the Seinfeld ending. They could have learned from Seinfeld. It was not a good way to go. And yeah, for me, this episode is so damn boring. It's just basically a recap of the series told in court We do get a ghost Mr. X who hands Mulder Morita's address. So again, ugh, I don't like that stuff going on. And Chris Carter has lost the plot. That's just one of my notes here. We get Gibson coming back because he's the key. Scully's like, okay, if we're gonna get somebody to testify, let's fuck with this kid again. Let's put his life in imminent danger. And that doesn't do much as far as getting more of the truth out. So in the end of the day, Mulder's gonna get killed. He's gonna get martial execution, or whatever the technical name is for it. He's not gonna win this case. But because it is the X Files, this is the easiest base to escape and get into, and that's what they do. Okay, they plot an escape plan for Mulder, which succeeds with Kirch giving a last second assist there to show that from building on a few episodes, well, maybe more than a few episodes ago, where we find out that he was actually helping Doggett with some things, and he was the one that was giving him leads on some stuff. So maybe it was all just a smokescreen. Kirch being an asshole all season long, in most of season 8, is he wanted to allow these agents to work, but he's got to act like I hate you. Okay. And then Mulder talks to more ghosts. LG, I don't know who LG is, but it's probably the first. Is it the first Deep Throat? I don't know. Again, Magnetite fucks with the aliens because as Mulder escapes, they want to get the hell out of the country, but Mulder's like, no, we got to go to Nevada. And they're being chased by the super soldiers who gets fucked up in the Magnetite. And why do they go to Nevada? Because a very special guy is there. Our favorite guy in the world, Mr. Smokey Man. And he's smoking up a storm inside of a cave because that's what he does. And he's become almost like a little medicine man. And he gets a missile to the face. I mean, there you go, guys. I got it on the screen. The many phases of getting your face burned off, which apparently is all that happened because he did not die from this missile attack. I don't know, Pete, on the scale of believability of death, the Emperor or the Smoky Man? I don't know. What's your opinion? Who has the most believable death fake out of the two? Oh, Pete was there. He came back because I was shocked to see Cancer Man back in the revival season, but apparently he did survive the missile to the face. But I was just as shocked to see the Emperor survive getting blown
You
up
gotta let
inside
me
the
in the
depths.
show, man.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't see that you had gone out because I'm not in the. I'm not
You
looking
gotta
at.
let me in. There we go.
No, you're in the.
Um, yeah. No, I've been
Who
listening for most of it. Yeah,
who
E-
who's got
LG
the
LG is
who's LG?
yeah LG is the lone gunman.
Oh, the Lone Gunman. There you go. That was my shorthand for the Lone Gunman. So they
Yeah,
appear as. So the question, Pete, before you get into your
yeah.
thoughts
Well,
on the rating
yeah,
scale,
yeah, yeah,
who has the
yeah. But
best
yeah,
fake
just a note.
out
LG
death?
is the lone gunman. He sees the lone gunman.
No. Who's got the best fake out death? Is it cigarette smoking man getting a missile to the face, but then being
The lone
alive for the
gunman.
reboot? No, man. I'm past the Lone Gunman. I need to
Yeah,
know.
he sees them
Who-
like
I don't think Pete
yeah,
can hear.
pissed on the side of the road. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Hello? Pete's internet is a little wacky tonight.
Well, I mean, Palpatine's got superpowers.
Oh, there you go. He got it. I think my audio is coming to you like 5 minutes after I said it. Yeah, your internet's a little wacky tonight, but it's okay. So Pete, Give us your thoughts on this episode. So I think Pete, guys, picked Palpatine. Palpatine's got the no. I guess it would be
No,
Secret
no, I
Swap.
said Palpatine. Palpatine has superpowers.
So yes,
I
so
can
he
hear
that's
you.
more
I can
believable.
hear you
That's
fine.
more
Yeah.
believable.
Yeah, I
That's
already
more
said
believable.
Palpatine. Palpatine has superpowers.
All right. So what do you think of this final episode of the original run of the X Files? The truth.
Yeah.
See, I
No,
think
Palpatine has superpowers.
I got you. Oh yeah, there's a big delay. Oh my god, sorry folks. Pete's getting my audio like 5 minutes after.
Yeah, because he doesn't have
So
superpowers.
see, he's answering questions from before. So uh, eventually, Pete's gonna give us our
Yes.
his thoughts on this episode once he gets my audio like 2 minutes after. It happens sometimes, guys, and it rained heavy today, so internet's been a little wacky. Oh, and now Pete just got knocked out. But summing up, I believe Pete said Palpatine's got superpowers, so that makes his I'm not really dead slightly more believable than Cigarette Smoking Man's, which is fine by me. Um, but my main issue with this episode basically is what I said. It's just you start out with a bang. A lot of action. You get the Coveney back. You're like, woohoo! I'm so excited to have our man back, and you get a courtroom scene for the. I think it's even is it even more than half of the episode? I'm not sure. I imagine that it was probably a cliffhanger. It's been a couple weeks since I saw the last episode, so it was probably cliffhanger mode. Mm. Let me see what happened to Pete. So wait up, guys. By the way, those of you who want to find out what life is like here in Brazil on Mondays, we are on live. So we'll be on next Monday talking about life down here in Brazil. We'll be talking to a girl named Regine, who is so I'll wait for Pete. I don't feel like talking by myself, but I think we might have lost him. We have so many we had so many technical difficulties here and there. Although we've had some nice stretches at the beginning. We can go back memory lane. Um, we can go down memory lane and remember that when we first started our journey into the X Files, there was actually our very first episode. There was like 20 minutes of like no audio because my internet got killed, and then Pete had to carry it. Oh, there he goes. Pete's back. Hello, sir.
All right.
Yeah,
I
tonight's one
tried
of
to
those
go
nights.
incognito.
We're bookending.
Yeah, no, I tried to go incognito, but it didn't work.
Go ahead, sir. Give us your thoughts on the truth.
Yeah,
Or
no, I liked it. I thought it was a good series finale. Not the best, not the worst. I actually liked your comparison to Seinfeld because I thought the Seinfeld series finale was pretty great. Actually, um, I didn't think this was as good as that, but it was an ending, and I don't mind actually that they. It was basically like a trial where they rehashed the show and they brought everyone out. Because I mean, the show was done. It's had a fork in it for a while. So if you're gonna end it, why not just yeah, that seemed to me to be like the best thing that they could have done, really. I mean, they could have maybe had a big alien invasion, but that would have been like several episodes long. I don't think that would have worked. I think for just bringing the show to a conclusion, having a nice little retrospective, yeah, it was okay. I mean, I did not hate it at all. It's far from the worst series finale I've ever seen. It certainly wasn't Dexter or Dallas or anything like that. It was an ending, but at the same time, it was an open-ended ending. They killed the smoking man, who that was kind of unnecessary actually, because as far as everyone was concerned, he was already dead. But okay,
Yes.
they killed him again, and they'll kill him again in the future. So the many deaths of the smoking man. There's that. I did like seeing some of these characters again, even the dead ones. So that was nice. We got to see what Marita's up to. One thing I wanted to say though during your recap of it is that he killed Roar, but he couldn't have killed Roar because the guy's a freaking super soldier.
Yeah, he's a
Those
super
things get
soldier.
dumped into dump. Yeah, they get dumped into fucking trash trucks and compacted, and they live. So, and actually, they find this out because Scully autopsies the body and finds out it's not him. So something happened. We never find out what happened to him, but there's a loose end. That's it. But yeah,
Mhm.
I liked how it ended with Mulder and Scully in bed too. I mean, that's what everyone wanted. So there
Yes.
you go. They're on the run. They're fugitives. As far as Kirsch turning out to be a good guy, I think that might have worked if not for the fact that he's back to being a douche in the new episodes. They just kind of forgot that he was on their side, supposed to be on their side the whole time. But in the new seasons, he's back to being an asshole. So, but I liked that he was the savior because he was pretty much their only hope.
Yes. Well, to
Oh no, we
what you.
do find out what happened to Roar. Sorry, he's the super soldier that chases them to New Mexico.
Oh, does he show up at the end?
Yeah, he's the super soldier that follows them to New Mexico and gets fucked up by the
Oh, okay.
cave.
Oh yes, he goes into the magnetite or whatever it is that
Yeah.
is in the in the rocks, um, and he gets sucked in with that. That's a cool effect, though.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then I do like that. I do like that it does bookend the series as far as having them in. It says here it's actually the same establishing shot of them on the at the hotel, or the hotel thing. Wait, let me see here. Oh, I just saw it. Now I can't find it, but it says um, the episode was originally to end with the scene from the Toothpick Man. No. Oh, the final scene of the episode is a bookend to a scene in the pilot episode, in which the audience first learns about the abduction of Mulder's sister and uses the same establishing shot of a hotel that was first seen in the pilot. Um, and there's constant references in the episodes of Scully being assigned to the X Files 9 years ago, despite her having been assigned to the X Files over 10 years ago in March 1992. Uh-oh. And final dialogue of the series is that Scully says, "You've always wanted to believe, but believe in what, Mulder? If this is the truth that you've been looking for, then what is left to believe in?" And Mulder says, "I want to believe that the dead are not lost to us, that they speak to us as part of something greater than us, greater than any alien force. And if you and I are powerless now, I want to believe that if we listen to what's speaking, it can give us the power to save ourselves." And then Scully says, "Then we believe the same thing." Mulder gets off the floor, crawls into bed with Scully, and whispers, "Maybe there's hope." Anyway, that's the final dialogue. All right. It wasn't bad. So, I mean, if you put it like that, I mean, it wasn't the worst ending ever. Like, it's a makes sense ending for the X Files, but we've come. I guess it's just you've gone such a long way. We would hope for a little bit more
Hmm.
uh, bang for the buck. And I would have preferred it to not have been an open-ended ending, even though I mean we did get the movie, like the movie ending. We'll talk about the movie next week. I think that's a much better ending, if you know, to the X Files. Anyway, that's it, folks. No more original series X Files, and for us that watched this back in 2002, we pretty much thought this is it. Like, you know, it was a wonderful journey. You know, I grew up on the X Files. I went from a teenager to a young man on the X Files. Was a big part of my life, and it was sad to see it go. Even though season 9 was kind of like a shell of what the show was, but it's still a big old chunk of my childhood that just went away. What are your thoughts on season 9 as a whole, Pete?
Actually, for all the flack it gets, I thought it started well. There was promise. I think it was definitely time to go, even if it had been a great season. If it had been a great season, end on a high point, because there's this type of storytelling. It can only go on for so long. I mean, it wears itself out. Even the best of things do. So yeah, it started like it was actually maybe going to go out on a high point, but it went downhill pretty fast, and there were a few bright moments along the way, but it didn't really recover. It was kind of limping to the end. I hate to call any season of the X Files the worst because I mean they all have merit, but I would say this is my least favorite.
Yeah, it's definitely bottom of the pile for me, and you know, I really made a concerted effort watching it this time to not do like I did last time that I watched it, pretty much for the first time because I skipped out on most of it first run, to say I'm going to really pay attention and give it a chance because I'm in a lot of the X Files group. And by the way, shout out to everybody in the X Files groups that listen to us, and thank you to the administrators who let me post in there. Um, and I see that there's people that are genuine fans of season 9, and they're like, "No, it's a really great season," and or at the very least, they'll say, "Yeah, it was the best, but there's a few really good episodes in there." So I was like, you know what? I had my opinion changed about season 8 when I watched it last time, and I liked it even more this time around. So maybe I was, maybe I just wasn't paying attention. And you know what? No, it just doesn't work. Season 9, it just it meanders. They're trying to get this new mythology going, but it doesn't really have the same magic, even though it's much more streamlined and easier to understand. But it almost feels like it's kind of wedged in there. Like, Carter's just like, well, we gotta have a mythology. We gotta have a mythology. Let's put something in there. It doesn't feel like everybody's heart is into it, and in the world that changed. I think this is a big issue with the X Files, even leading up to the reboot season. I'll get more into this topic when we
Yeah.
get to the reboot season. But a show that started in '94, it was a very different world in 1990 or '93 actually. It was a very different world back then to 2002. This is a post 9/11 world where
Hmm.
you know conspiracy wasn't this stuff that was you listen to on your late night radio show. Like I was a fan of Art Bell before I even knew the X Files was on. So, but not everybody listened to Art Bell in the beginning, and what's his name, Cooper, Behold a Pale Horse, whatever. It was all very underground, and this show fed off of that. And then it can't sustain that mythology, that conspiracy stuff, if all that government shadow government stuff is mainstream now. Now what's interesting and unique about the X Files? Nothing really, other than the Monster of the Week episodes, which are the only kind of high points in the later seasons. Because after a while, it's like, okay, we know the government's spying on us. We got the Patriot Act was just signed by President Bush, so it's not like a mystery. And you got these documentaries that get millions of views on YouTube about 9/11 is an inside job and this, that, and the third. So I think, unfortunately, the real world kind of took some of the luster away from the mythology part of the X Files, and Carter's trying his damnedest to make it still intriguing and unique and different, but he just there's nothing more to say. There's nothing more there for that part of the show. And unfortunately, the Monster of the Week stuff wasn't on the same level as it was in years past. And I think that might just be a case of the well runs dry at some point. You
Yeah.
can't hit songs forever. Even the greatest of them, your Bob Dylans have their dry spots where you're like, oh, man, you run out of ideas at some point. So I think that's what season 9 is. It's still better than maybe 80%. Maybe season 8 we could say 90%, and season 8 we'd say 80% of anything that was on TV, as far as just being something different and this, that, and the third. But that's not good enough, for X Files standards. If you compare it to what came before. So it was a little. It wasn't as much of a chore to get through season 9 as the first time I watched it, but there's nothing really memorable about it. And it was
Right.
really tough for me to pick a top 8, man. Which is what we will move on to now, unless you want to say something else about the season as a whole.
No, no, not really. I think actually we can do this. We can probably skip or watch, at least for me, because I think it's being the last 4 to 5 episodes of the series. They're all pretty much watches, even if they're not all good.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about it. But yeah, but I'm with you though. I would watch all of these. Um,
They're
so
necessary.
they're necessary episodes and they're watchable. They're not terrible. They don't drag
Exactly.
completely. So even though it's not a complete asterisk on that watch, I would watch them even if just watch them. They're not bad episodes. Um, all right, now this is probably my weirdest top 8, Pete. I mean,
Yeah, me too.
aside from my number one episode, I think you can just whatever order. Like these all work in whatever
Hmm.
order. I might move Sunshine Days up a couple notches after your review of it. I kind of realized that I liked it a little bit more than I did. But other than that, I'm good to go. What's your number 8?
My number 8 is Lord of the Flies. Just an icky idea for a monster of the week concept, like a human fly who controls fly larvae and can make flies eat a lot of flies stuff. But yeah, the caved in skulls because a fly ate their head from the inside out. The mother was a fly. I mean, that was a pretty nasty episode.
Dude, I'll give that one an honorable mention. It was in my top 8, and I removed it, but it's got some cool spots. Not my favorite episode, but it does. The effects in it were kind of cool. My number 8 is Trust No One, where we have our Terry O'Quinn
Hmm.
character, kind of screwing. Well, I shouldn't say screwing. Kind of tugging Scully along, and with this idea that he can contact Mulder, and would we get a Mulder cameo at the end or not? It kind of keeps you at the edge of your seat till the end, and it's a pretty clear telling of what this whole super soldier storyline is, and I still love that effect, man, of them getting sucked into the cave walls, or whatever, the mountainside walls. I think it's pretty cool. So, mythology episode that I think is cool, even though unfortunately this mythology goes nowhere after. But that's my number eight. About seven.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess that means my number seven is Scouty Monsters. Got the return of Lila Harris in there. You got a cool little monster who's like a kid who can do all kinds of fucked up shit. Had some humor, had some scares. Mm, decent, decent Monster of the Week episode.
All right. My number seven is Provenance, which is the first of a two-parter that deals with alien. These guys that have like an alien cult, whatever, and then they're trying to kidnap the William, and it kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat till you realize William doesn't really need any protection. I mean, Scully makes some dumb
Mm-hmm.
mistakes as far as leaving William alone with some people for far too long. But I dug it, kept me interested to find out what would come in part two. So that's my number seven. What's number six for you?
All right. No, that would be your number six. Oh, is
Was
it?
it six for
Okay,
you?
whatever. So
No,
my
no,
number
that was
six is 4D. Kind of like this one. Good dog centric episode. Something that I haven't done before. Yeah.
4D is the one where we
So
get
yeah,
dotted in the
um,
alternate reality, right?
yeah. It's something.
Hmm.
It's something that the X Files have never really done before either. Like alternate realities, which is kind of surprising because they're quite prevalent throughout science fiction and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
Star Trek does it, comic books do it. So it's kind of weird that it took the X Files this long to go there, but the way they did it really kind of worked. It also kind of leaves us with the question: is like Doggett actually now still Doggett?
That, and you know what? And then Doggett gets to be within the pantheon of great sci-fi shows where they've killed a character off and the characters come back as an alternate version of themselves. Almost every great sci-fi show has done that, and you're always left with that. Is this? Well, in fact, Picard, Star Trek Picard, right now, he's in a synthetic body. He's in a golem.
Okay.
But yeah, almost every sci-fi show has had an alternate reality or this idea that one of the characters has died and they've replicated him back to life, or the alternate universe version of him or her. Harry Kim from Star Trek Voyager is another example. So there you go. Doggett
Yeah,
has the greats of
they did that with
sci-fi.
Iron Man in the comic books too. Like technically, the original Iron Man like permanently died in the mid '90s.
Yeah, it's a good trope. And that's this episode was also my top eight, and then I took it out. And I think Pete, with episodes like this, it's difficult for me to deal with episodes like this because it's like the X Files is technically a sci-fi show, kind of horror, mystery, crime show for me more. And then when it goes all the way sci-fi, like for me, it loses like the grounded as part of it. Like that episode. Remember that episode where I think it was called Monday, where Mulder was reliving the same day over and over and over. Like I like it, but it's so like you're running away from like the grounded part of the X Files that I like, where it can still be sci-fi, but in a very real
Right.
world where we don't have alternate dimensions. We definitely don't have starlight angels. Um, so alternate
Yeah,
realities more
yeah, yeah.
than starlight angels. But in any case, my number six is Hellbound, which I just looked up and I don't even remember what this episode was. That's what I'm telling you. It's kind of difficult. Oh, that's the one where the people are skinned alive and it ends up it's this reincarnated folks that were murdered some time back and they're getting revenge generation after generation. I didn't really like. I
Right.
wasn't in love with the episode, but I loved the creature makeup and everything. That stuff I liked about it. They really upped their game this season as far as some of the makeup and stuff, and sometimes not, like with Spender. But when they wanted to go all out, they did, and I think that's what I liked the most about the episode. It was just creepy to look at, even if the story wasn't anything incredible. And what's your number? I think you're on number five now. Oh, is Pete there? Will you get him? Is he knocked out? Where's Pete? Where's Pete? Well, he's probably talking, guys, and we just can't hear him at the moment. But we're waiting for his number five pick. Although it is,
Yeah.
oh, there he is. Our last episode is ending the way that it should because we had a lot of technical difficulties. Our very first episode, about 20 minutes of dead air, but he's
Yeah.
there. I think he's coming.
Nothing important
Yes.
happened today. The season premiere started very promising, man. You got Lucy Lawless, and they really showed that they were going to try and invest something in this new. I'm here. Yeah, probably on a time delay. Yeah. So
Naked
yeah,
Lucy Lawless should win
yeah.
everything.
So nothing premiere.
Yeah, season
Got that?
premiere. For me, number five. Again, not the best episode, but on a relative scale of greatness, I put underneath where Doggett and Scully investigate this fat dude who seems to have this power to morph into Jesus or ZZ Top and is killing a bunch of people. Again, this one I like not so much for the plot, but the character development with Doggett. Just kind of just seeing stuff now that he just can't explain, and you can't hide from the truth forever. Doggett, it's staring you right in the face. But that's it. My number five.
Okay. My number four, Sunshine Days.
Okay, we just talked about that Brady Bunch episode. I like it. I like it. Number
Yeah, not
four
much
for
more to
me.
add to it. Great episode. One of the yeah. Go ahead.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead. We're getting a delay. This is the problem. But number four,
Yeah, so
yes.
just go
If you
ahead.
don't hear me talking, it's just because I shut up to wait for the delay, and then it's your turn to talk. I think that's what seems to be the problem, folks. Is there's a delay with what I'm saying, and then when Pete starts talking. But anyway, number four, I put Demonicus. Kind of a creepy episode. Again, cool effects, especially Doggett getting vomited on. One of the more genuinely creepy episodes this season. And the bad guy kind of gets away at the end, which I thought was cool. He's kind of playing all of these guys for fools, and it ends up that he does end
Hmm.
up, jumping into the river and getting the hell out of Dodge. And the opening scene was kind of cool too, with the folks getting killed in the beginning. So some old school feel to this episode, and it's on you, brother.
All right. Trust no one. Uh, Really, the only Mulder episode in the middle of the season, although technically you don't even really know if it's David Duchovny. Could be a stunt double, but it was kind of cool that they didn't lose sight of that. They added something important to the mythology that winds up being really important in the series finale. Um, so yeah, solid episode. One of the better mythology episodes of the season.
I believe it was Trust No One because it cut out just when you gave the title of the episode, but I
Okay.
believe he was talking about Trust No One.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And my number three pick is one that Pete mentioned a couple rankings down, which is nothing important happened here. I'm with Pete. Because like I just went on, about 5-10 minutes ago, I went into this season saying I'm gonna give it a shot and really try to pay attention and give it a real good shot. And it opened up pretty decent. We got a great opening sequence with Lucy Lawless killing a dude in a car, and she's naked and she's hot, and Doggett gets all caught up in the middle of this and what's going on, this, that, and the third. And I thought, hey, I can ride with this. And then unfortunately, part two wasn't all that great. And then, you know, we get the rest of the season. Number two, Pete. Curious about
Okay. Actually, for me, I like part two better, and I'm giving nothing important happened today part two for my number two, because part one was
it.
just it was really just a setup. The meat of the story is actually in part two.
You do have a nice explosion in part two, which I like. My number two episode, guys,
Mm-hmm.
and Pete kind of made me change my mind about this one, is Sunshine Days. I like it more than I kind of remember that I did until Pete
Mm-hmm.
started talking about it. And it's a sweet Monster of the Week episode. It's Vince Gilligan's in there, and it's just nice send off, for everything. And it's got great character moments. Doggett finally becomes a believer. Scully is 100% a believer now, and to the point where she's like, I can finally prove that I can finally, put an end to the X Files and
Yeah.
show everyone that this is what's really going on. Although she could have just brought little the little annoying dude that lives out in the desert, Gibson. I figured she could have just done that. But
Yeah.
in any case, but it's cute, and I'm a big fan of the Brady Bunch, so it was nostalgic. I'd put that as number two. And number one for Pete.
Number one, gotta go with the truth. It is the most significant episode of the season for obvious reasons. It's not at all a bad finale, not a bad episode. Kind of like the fact that they just went with like a recap, but it's like a high stakes recap, like Mulder's life is hanging on this. So yeah, like I said, it's not the best series finale, but it's not the worst. And actually, the torrent I had for it, it didn't have the episode in two parts. It played like all at once. You couldn't tell where one
Yeah, mine
episode
too.
ended and one episode began. So it kind of felt like a movie. I mean, if you paid money to see that in the theaters, you'd feel pretty fucking jacked. But it did have like a slightly more cinematic feel to it.
Yeah, mine played like that too, and I was weirded out because I'm from where I watch it. I was like, wait, it's supposed to be 20 episodes this season. Why are there 19? Did they skip one? This, that, and the third, and then it just 19 just runs into 20. And yeah, I'd be mad if I had paid money to see that. Thankfully, I didn't. And my number one is Scary Monsters. I think it's just such a cute episode. It's the most lighthearted but episode of the season, but it makes sense. It's not like the Burt Reynolds lighthearted episode of the season. And you get Layla's. It's a love letter to the fans. It's Chris Carter just closing
Mm-hmm.
everything out. We need to close our storylines, but we also need to give ourselves a little bit more of a love letter to the fans. Um, Great. Doggett and Reyes episode. I'm not a huge fan of Reyes, but I thought they were good in this episode as partners. And it's generally creepy too. I think the monsters that show up at the beginning are pretty creepy. And it works for me. It works for me. And that's it, y'all. We have finished the X Files. Okay, until the next rewatch. So next week
Mhm.
we will be back talking about the X Files movie I Want to Believe, and we will give you our full thoughts on that, whether it's aged well or has not aged well, etc., etc. So thank you again for everybody that's hung out with us on Thursday nights, and we will see you soon. Bye.